Here's something that might stop you cold. Some of the foods doing the most damage to your blood sugar right now aren't the ones you'd ever suspect. They're not hiding in the candy aisle, they're sitting in your fruit bowl, in your rice cooker, on your breakfast plate, foods you've been told for decades are healthy, or at least harmless. And after the age of 60, your body handles them very differently than it did at 30. I'm Dr. Richard Ben, and I focus on integrative and metabolic health, the everyday habits that quietly decide whether your blood sugar stays steady or spirals. And I want to be honest with you today, because the science here is stronger than most people realize. Consider this. In a landmark 2010 analysis from the Harvard School of Public Health, published in Diabetes Care, people who drank the most sugar-sweetened drinks had a 26% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes than those who drank the least. 26% from a single category of food. That's not a scare tactic. That's a pattern across hundreds of thousands of people. Before we go further, I'd love to hear from you. Drop your age in the comments right now and tell me, which of these foods do you eat every single week? You might be surprised by what makes the list. Today, I'll walk you through the 5 most dangerous foods for anyone managing blood sugar over 60, ranked from foundational to life-altering, starting at number 5 and building to the one that does the most damage. And I'm warning you now, do not skip to the end, because the number 1 food on this list is something millions of seniors reach for, believing it's the healthy choice, and it may be quietly sabotaging everything else you're doing right. Let's begin. Let's begin with number 5, white rice. I know, this one stings. White rice feels clean, gentle, easy on the stomach. But here's what happens inside you. When rice is milled from brown to white, the fiber and much of the outer grain are stripped away. What's left is starch that your body breaks down into glucose almost instantly. Fiber is the brake pedal on blood sugar. White rice has had that brake removed. So the sugar floods your bloodstream fast, and your pancreas has to scramble to keep up. The research here is remarkably consistent. In a 2012 meta-analysis published in the BMJ by researchers at the Harvard School of Public Health, every single daily serving of white rice was associated with an 11% higher risk of type 2 diabetes. And in the populations eating the most white rice, the risk ran about 55% higher compared to those eating the least. Those aren't small numbers for a food many people eat twice a day. Here's why age changes everything. After 60, 2 things happen quietly. Your muscle mass declines, and muscle is where your body stores glucose after a meal. Less muscle means less storage, so more sugar stays circulating in your blood. At the same time, the insulin-producing cells in your pancreas become slower and less responsive. So the exact same bowl of rice that barely moved your blood sugar at 35 can send it climbing and keep it high for hours at 65. Now, the practical part. And this costs you nothing. You don't have to give up rice. Swap white for brown or mix half and half to start. Cook it, cool it in the fridge, and reheat it the next day. That cooling process actually changes some of the starch into a form your body absorbs more slowly. And never eat rice naked. Always pair it with protein, vegetables, or healthy fat to blunt the spike. Here's a synergy tip you'll want to remember. Whatever you save on rice matters far more when combined with cutting back on the drink at number 1. Rice plus a sugary beverage in the same meal is a double blood sugar hit. Fix both, and the benefit compounds. Picture someone like Robert, a 68-year-old with pre-diabetes who ate white rice with dinner every night for years, watching his morning blood sugar creep steadily upward. In a hypothetical but very realistic scenario, simply switching to brown rice and adding vegetables to each bowl is the kind of change that helps steady those morning numbers over a few months. No medication, no cost, just a smarter grain. But if white rice surprised you, the next one is going to make you look twice at your breakfast plate. Number 4, fried foods, especially French fries and fried potatoes. This isn't just about grease. When potatoes are deep fried, 2 dangerous things happen at once. The high heat and oil create compounds called advanced glycation end products. Think of them as sticky molecules that inflame your tissues and make your cells more resistant to insulin. And the potato itself, stripped and fried, becomes fast-releasing starch. You're combining a blood sugar bomb with an inflammation bomb in a single bite. The data is striking. In a large 2023 analysis from Harvard researchers drawing on 3 major U.S. cohort studies and published in the BMJ, eating French fries just 3 times a week was linked to a 16% higher risk of type 2 diabetes. And here's the hopeful flip side from that same research. Swapping those fried potatoes for whole grains was associated with a 17% lower risk. The food you replace it with matters as much as the food you remove. Age makes fried food especially costly. That low-grade inflammation I mentioned tends to rise naturally as we get older. Scientists sometimes call it inflammaging. Your body after 60 is already fighting a slow simmer of inflammation, and fried foods pour fuel directly onto it, deepening the insulin resistance that makes blood sugar so hard to control. What can you do today at no cost? Don't fry, roast, or air bake. Toss potato or vegetable wedges with a little olive oil and bake them until crisp. You get the crunch, the comfort, the satisfaction without the oil-soaked starch. And when you're out, ask for a side of vegetables or a small salad in place of fries. It's one sentence to your server and it changes the whole meal. The synergy here is powerful. Fried foods drive inflammation, and so does the processed meat we're about to talk about at number 3. Cut both, and you're not making 2 separate improvements. You're calming one underlying fire from 2 directions. Picture someone like Margaret, a 71-year-old who loved her weekend fried lunches and couldn't understand why her energy crashed every afternoon. In a realistic scenario, trading fried potatoes for roasted vegetables and adding a short walk is exactly the kind of pairing that smooths out those afternoon slumps. And speaking of processed meat, what's next might already be in your refrigerator right now. Number 3, processed meats, bacon, ham, sausage, and deli slices. Here's the mechanism that too few people understand. Processed meats are loaded with preservatives, nitrates, and nitrites, plus large amounts of sodium, and they carry those same inflammatory compounds created during curing and high-heat cooking. These substances appear to damage the pancreatic cells that produce insulin, and they worsen insulin resistance throughout the body. It's not just the fat, it's the chemistry of the processing itself. The evidence is some of the strongest in all of nutrition science. In a major 2024 study published in The Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology, analyzing nearly 2 million adults across 20 countries, just 50 grams of processed meat a day, about 2 slices of ham, was associated with a 15% higher risk of type 2 diabetes. And an earlier meta-analysis from Harvard researchers published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that same modest daily portion of processed meat linked to a 51% higher risk. 2 slices. That's the entire dose. For those over 60, this hits twice. Your kidneys become more sensitive to sodium with age, so the salt in processed meats can push up blood pressure, and high blood pressure and diabetes together are a genuinely dangerous combination for your heart and your circulation. Your body's ability to buffer that inflammatory load also weakens over time, so the damage accumulates faster. The fix is refreshingly simple and free of any special products. Reach for fresh, unprocessed proteins. A plain chicken breast, eggs, beans, lentils, fish. If you love a sandwich, fill it with roasted fresh chicken instead of deli slices. Treat bacon and sausage as an occasional pleasure, not a daily habit. Even cutting from daily to once or twice a week meaningfully lowers the load on your system. Remember the synergy from a moment ago? Processed meat and fried foods both feed inflammation. Pair the roasting swap from number 4 with the fresh protein swap here, and you've taken 2 of the biggest inflammatory drivers off your plate at once. Picture someone like David, a 66-year-old who ate a ham sandwich for lunch every workday for 30 years, with slowly rising blood pressure and blood sugar. In a hypothetical scenario, switching to fresh chicken and beans is precisely the kind of change that helps bring both numbers back toward a healthier range over time. But now we reach the food that fools almost everyone. The one people eat because they think it's protecting them. Number 2, fruit juice. Yes, even 100% pure juice. This is the one that breaks people's hearts, so let me explain it carefully. A whole orange comes wrapped in fiber, and that fiber slows down how fast the sugar reaches your blood. But when you juice that orange, even with no sugar added, even 100% pure, you throw the fiber away and keep the sugar. What's left is essentially sweet water that hits your bloodstream almost as fast as soda. Your body can't tell the difference between the sugar in juice and the sugar in a soft drink once the fiber is gone. The research confirms it. A 2024 dose-response meta-analysis published in Advances in Nutrition, pooling data from 14 cohorts, found that each daily serving of fruit juice was associated with about a 5% higher risk of type 2 diabetes, and notably, whole fruit showed the opposite, protective effect. And in a large European prospective study, the EPIC Netherlands cohort, drinking a single daily serving of pure fruit juice was linked to an 18% higher risk. The word natural on the label does not protect your blood sugar. Why does this matter more after 60? Because your body clears sugar from the blood more slowly as you age, that declining muscle storage and slower insulin response we've discussed. A glass of juice that a young person's body might handle can leave your blood sugar elevated far longer. And many seniors sip juice throughout the day, believing it's a healthy hydration choice, quietly delivering spike after spike. Here's what to do instead, starting today. Eat the whole fruit, an actual orange, an actual apple, fiber intact, sugar controlled, and far more filling. If you love the flavor of juice, infuse your water with slices of lemon, cucumber, or a few berries. All the refreshment, almost none of the sugar. If you do drink juice, keep it to a tiny glass and pair it with a meal, never on an empty stomach. And here's the synergy that ties this whole video together. Fruit juice and the drink at number 1 are metabolic twins. If you fix your beverages, swap juice and soda for water and whole fruit, you remove the single fastest source of blood sugar spikes in the entire day, which makes every other change on this list work better. Picture someone like Linda, a 69-year-old who drank orange juice every morning her whole life, certain it was the healthiest part of her day, while her fasting blood sugar quietly climbed. In a realistic scenario, replacing that daily glass with a whole orange and a glass of water is exactly the sort of switch that helps steady those fasting numbers. Which brings us, finally, to number 1, the food doing the most damage of all. Number 1, sugar-sweetened drinks, soda, sweet tea, and sweetened coffee. This is the most dangerous of them all, and the reason is brutal simplicity. There is nothing to slow it down. No fiber, no fat, no protein, just liquid sugar racing straight into your bloodstream within minutes. Your pancreas is hit with a demand for insulin so sudden and so large that over years the system wears out. Worse, this liquid sugar drives fat to build up around your liver, and a fatty liver is a major engine of insulin resistance throughout your entire body. The numbers are the strongest on this whole list. A 2021 dose-response meta-analysis published in the journal Nutrients found that each daily serving of a sugar-sweetened beverage was associated with a 27% higher risk of type 2 diabetes. And that 2010 Harvard analysis I mentioned at the very start in diabetes care put the risk at 26% higher for the heaviest drinkers. Across every major study, in every country, the answer keeps coming back the same. This is the clearest, most consistent dietary link to diabetes that science has found. After 60, this is the last thing your body needs. With slower insulin response, less muscle to absorb glucose, and a liver already more prone to storing fat with age, a single can of soda can send your blood sugar higher and hold it there longer than at any earlier point in your life. This isn't a small indulgence anymore, it's a genuine metabolic stress. The good news is that this is also the single easiest, most powerful change you can make, and it costs you nothing but a decision. Replace sugary drinks with water, plain, sparkling, or infused with fruit and herbs. Cut the sugar in your coffee and tea gradually, a little less each week until your taste adjusts. Keep a cold jug of water in the fridge so the easy choice is always within reach. And here's how it all comes together. Remember every synergy we've built. the rice, the fried foods, the processed meat, the juice. Fixing this number one drink is the keystone. Remove liquid sugar, and every other change on this list suddenly works harder and faster. This is where the real transformation begins. So let's bring it all home. White rice, at number 5, floods your system with fast sugar once its fiber is stripped away. So choose brown, cool, and reheat, and never eat it alone. Fried foods, at number 4, stack inflammation on top of starch, so roast instead of fry. Processed meats, at number 3, carry preservatives and salt that harm your insulin-producing cells, so choose fresh proteins instead. Fruit juice, at number 2, fools you with the word natural while delivering sugar without its fiber, so eat the whole fruit. And sugary drinks, at number 1, hit your body with pure liquid sugar and do the most damage of all, so make water your default. Here's what I need you to hear and to believe. It is never too late. Your body responds to better choices at 60, at 70, at 80. Every single one of these changes costs nothing and starts working the moment you begin. Prevention and improvement are always possible. So tell me in the comments, which food will you cut first? And what's your biggest challenge in doing it? I read these, and your answer might be exactly what helps someone else. If this helped you see your plate a little more clearly, please like this video, subscribe for more, and share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. Because the best time to protect your health was yesterday, and the second best time is the very next thing you put in your mouth.